Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host, Nicole. Thank you so fucking much for coming back this week. I'm so excited to have you here. Our co-host today is T, and she's behaving herself for the first time ever. She's sleeping on the pillow next to me if you're watching this. Everybody say hi to T. But yeah, I'm super excited for this week's episode. We are going to be talking about being patient because that's something that I struggle with from time to time. I'm a pretty patient person day to day, but big picture things, career things, goals, like sometimes I'm like, why am I not there yet? And I want to rush these things. And then I, get in my head about certain things that haven't happened for me yet. And I'm like, I don't want to wait anymore. So we're going to talk about that. And then we are also going to be talking about not people pleasing because I'm a former recovered people pleaser. There are still instances in my life where I'm tested or it does happen. I'm not a perfect person, but I think this is something that I've grown in a lot and kind of like want to share a little story that happened this past weekend and relate it back to that and tie it all back together because that's kind of what spurred this conversation. But I think a lot of people struggle with people pleasing. I just don't want to see you girls doing things that you don't want to do, or guys, whoever's listening to this. We have to stay true to ourselves. So we're going to be talking about that. But before we jump in today's episode, I just want to say that this episode is sponsored by none other than TLF Apparel. Thank you so much, TLF, for sponsoring this episode because I love you guys so much. And I'm constantly wearing TLF in the gym. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you always see me in their sets. My favorite set from theirs is the Cosmic line, and the material is like perfect. It's stretchy but breathable. It's not too thick. They have the little butt scrunch, makes your booty always look good. I think the tops are super supportive. You can take in and out of the padding. They have such cute colors. I always get compliments whenever I wear my TLF sets. They're tried and true. I just wore this past week, actually, was the first time I wore a pump cover. I used to wear like my old raggedy t-shirts to the gym, but like a nice pump cover had like a little slit on the side. It was super cute. Yeah, I just felt like a new woman wearing like a big t-shirt in the gym. I was like, I feel kind of cool. So make sure you guys check them out. You can use my code TLF-NikkiD to get money off of your order. And make sure if you're wearing them, you tag me, tag them. Let the people know that you're wearing TLF. Let's jump right into it. So updates. Let's see. Here we go again. Not that many updates. Like, I had actually such a relaxing weekend. I made a pizookie, like a big cookie. This is what I'm reporting now. This is crazy. Like, I used to be like, I'm at the club getting drunk. And now I'm like, I made a skillet cookie. I haven't baked it yet. I made the dough. I think I'm going to make it tonight because I'm getting my period. And I can feel it coming. I'm just like so hungry, but also so tired and bloated for no reason. So I think I'm going to make it tonight to like treat myself. I got a bunch of ice cream. So I'm super excited for that. I found this old cookie book that I was sent a while back. And I was like, let me start making food again because I used to love baking. And something like reignited it. And now I'm just having fun baking again in the kitchen and enjoying it and like actually being able to enjoy the stuff that I make. Because trigger warning, height of my eating disorder was when I baked the most, but ate the least. It was like it's like I wanted to be around food, but I didn't want to eat it. So I would bake a lot. It was very weird. I feel like a lot of people, not weird, I think that's pretty normal actually. A lot of people struggling with EDs, it's like you hyper fixate on food. And I used to like look at menus a lot and look at food pictures a lot and like be obsessed with other people's diets and like be obsessed with baking and just like being around food all the time. And I loved like making it, but then I like wouldn't let myself eat it, but I would make it for other people. It's nice to be able to eat the fruits of my labor guilt-free. So it's just been a whole different baking experience and just getting creative again. I feel like it's like a little bit of my creative side and it just relaxes me. So that was my Friday night. It was literally the perfect Friday night. And then Saturday took a really good class and I went to the beach and I got burnt, but it didn't actually like burn me too bad, which is good. Turned into a tan, so that was nice. Oh, I got myself into a book. It's called Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I ripped through that thing in one day, finished it. I can't remember the last time a book like hooked me like that. I was just drawn in. I was like, I could not put it down. I was taking it with me everywhere, like to the bathroom. And like, it's like I was trying to distract myself with this book, but the book made me hornier. Like, it is a spicy book. That book got me horny. I was like wet reading it. Like, just don't read it in public, okay? Don't read it if you're super horny either. It's not good. But I was like, oh, this book is so good. I just ordered her other ones and Yeah, I guess I'm in like a spicy book thing right now. So that was a nice Saturday, just me getting horny alone over my book, lighting a candle. And Sunday I had a bit of a rot day, which was nice, and went to church. So yeah, I guess we'll just jump into it from there, because before I went to church, I was like, I really hope that they speak about patience today. I like just kind of put that out in the universe. I was like, please, God, speak about patience, because I need a little bit of guidance. I feel like that's something that I constantly struggle with, and I've gotten pretty good at not comparing myself to others, but I'm human, so those things creep in from time to time. It's hard when you start to get older not to compare yourself with other people who are the same age as you and are further along in some aspects, and you're just kind of like, well, why am I not there? So I feel like I've talked about that with you guys in the past before, but career-wise, I think I tend to want to rush things. Going into church, they actually talked about, the title of the sermon or the service was Nothing Wasted. And that alone, I feel like, says enough. I think our time is so valuable. And as I've gotten older, I've realized how valuable my time is. I think when you're younger, you think you have all the time in the world. You know, you'll hook up with the boys who aren't good for you, or date the boys who aren't good for you, or get into the situationships, or girls, whoever. And it doesn't really feel like a waste of time because you're so young, and you're like, you know, you just don't think you're going to get older when you're young, and you don't really have much of a concept of time, or even value your own time that much. And I'm not saying that's a fault, and I'm not saying that you're wrong for that, because when you're young, you just don't think like that. You go to the parties, you do all the stuff, you know, you do the things that aren't really great for you, because you're not thinking long term when you're a younger age, and you shouldn't. Like, you should just have fun. But as I'm getting older, I've really realized that the most valuable thing I have is time. And it's the one thing that I'm kind of also in control of, because I can control who I give my time to. And that goes for relationships, that goes for friendships, that goes for anything I'm interested in. I think this will also wrap into people pleasing, because I no longer want to waste my time with people or things that aren't bettering me, or that I'm just not interested in. There's a time and a place to compromise, especially when it comes to people that you love, and you do stuff for the people that you love that maybe you don't want to do, but it makes them happy. But as long as it's also not crossing a line or making you devalue yourself or abandon your needs or your wants, or something that's harmful to you and your mental health. Oh my God, food time. It's feeding time at the pet shop. She just took off like a bat out of hell. If you're watching this, did you see that? My God, she's a foodie like her mom. Let's just interject this quickly, give you a little story. And I'm sure if you follow me on TikTok, you heard this, but I was in the mirror yesterday brushing my hair, and I'm like, what is that? What is that? It was a gray hair. Well, I thought it was. And I was like, no. Like, listen, there's nothing wrong with graying. I know people have early onset gray hairs. There's people who are commenting like, I've had gray hair since 16. It happens. I haven't experienced it yet. I wasn't ready for my first gray. I'm Italian. I have a lot of hair. I have a lot of dark hair. Okay. I don't think my mom started to get grays. I got to ask her, until her 40s. So I'm like 29. I'm like, there's just no way. I'm not even that stressed out. Like, I stress over things, but like, I try to make my life as stress-free as possible. I'm not trying to get grays. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, it's real. It's real. This is getting real. I'm getting older. I'm 29. I'm almost 30. I'm going to get grays. And getting older is a privilege. But at the same time, I was like, I'm not ready for this. Like, did I waste my whole life? Am I not in my prime anymore? Like, what is going on? Turns out it was just one of T's cat hairs, because she sleeps on my pillows and she sheds. And it was like one of her little white hairs that like got into my hair. Thank God, dodged a bullet there. Didn't have to spiral on my Sunday. I was like, our time is so precious. And there's people who think that like when you're 0 to 30 years old, you're in your prime. And then some people say your prime starts when you're 30, and it's like from your 30 to your 60s. And that's when life really gets going. And I think when you're on the other end of that, when you're in your 30s, you're like, yeah, the prime's in your 30s, 40s, 50s. And then when you're younger, you're like, no, this is my prime now. But it's just different seasons of life. And I think when I was younger, that was my prime. In, the prime of partying, the prime of being carefree. I lived that up to the fullest. Would I want to live the life that I lived in my 20s now? No, I wouldn't change my life, my current reality for the world. I love that this past weekend, I barely left my apartment. I love that I dove into a book instead of the club. And I could have gone out. I was invited to the club. And I said, let me not, because this book is getting real spicy. And I'm enjoying my peace. I'm enjoying my company. And I don't want to waste my time at a club because there's nothing for me there. It's not to say that I wouldn't have had fun, but it's just not where my priorities lie, and it wouldn't have gotten me to where I want to be, and I just wouldn't have been happy. I would not have been happy there. I just didn't want to go. I just want to stay home. I want to enjoy my own company. I want to read my book. Different things for different seasons of your life. Leaning into that, everybody is in a different chapter of their life. Everybody's in a different season. And regardless of age, though, like, yes, age plays a factor, but not every 29-year-old is going to be in the same season of life that I am in. Some people are going to be behind me, in a sense, quotes, like whatever you categorize as behind. And then some people are going to be in front of me. You can't expect to get the same exact results or the same exact things just because you're the same age as somebody else. Just because I'm 29 does not mean that I'm supposed to have the same amount of success, the same amount of money, the same amount of this, the same amount of an accomplishment as somebody else who's 29, because our lives are different. Everything's different. Just like if you eat even the same diet or do the same workout program as somebody, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the same exact results because you're different. You have different bodies, you have different metabolisms, you have different genetics, different everything, different sleep. Who's to say what it is? Not everybody can do the same thing and get the same results. It's just not it. So never compare yourself to somebody else. And this is when patience comes into play. Whatever it is that you want right now, whatever it is that you are waiting on, whatever it is that you want to come in, you will get that thing, I promise you. If you stick to your guns, if you stick to what it is that you want, if that goal is in sight, if you're leading with intent, if you're working hard, if you have an eye on the prize, if you persevere, you will inevitably get the thing that you want. And I've said this before, and it's like, you can't put a timeline on those things. When you get that thing, it's going to feel so good that you're then like, I don't care how long it takes. If you really want something, you shouldn't care how long it takes for you to get it. And sometimes the world and God will test you. How bad do you really want it? There's going to be bumps along the way. There's going to be, blockages. There's going to be shit that happens. Not everything's going to go as planned. That's just life. And if you give up, if you throw in the towel because of one thing went wrong or it's not happening on the right timeline, then you're never going to get it. Then you're screwed. If I sat here and I was like, because I'm not married right now, I'm never going to have it, because I remember when I was younger and I had no sense of time, I was like, no, yeah, for sure. I'll find my husband, right? We'll be engaged by 24, 25, married by 27, kids by 29. My only child is my cat right now. And thank fucking God. Thank God that timeline didn't work out for me. But if I held myself to that right now, oh my God, I'd be feeling like a piece of shit. I'd be like, wow, Nicole, you didn't accomplish anything. You didn't even find your husband yet. Like, you're not even in a committed relationship yet. So should I just give up? No. Does that mean I'm a failure? No. Does that mean those things aren't going to happen for me? No. But I have to be patient. And I were to sit here and like badmouth every man or be like, oh, I'm blah, 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 have a really negative attitude, then I'll never get it. I have to be patient because you know what? In all this time leading up to the day that I do meet my husband, find my husband, whatever, marry my husband, my skills are being honed. I'm being humbled. I'm learning things. I'm picking up tools along the way. Every single time I have gotten turned down from a job or an opportunity, it's created more room for growth. I've learned something. I've gained something. And I needed that time in between to get me to a point where when I got that thing that I wanted, I was ready. I was prepared for it. And I was the best version of myself at that time to have that thing. And a lot of times we want things for our ego. It's egotistical. I want this amount of followers because that'll finally make me feel good. I want this raise, or I want this amount of money, or I want this title because that sounds good, because that looks good, because then I can get the girl, then I can get the guy, then my family will be impressed, then my friends will be impressed, then I'll feel better about myself. I'll feel like I have a place in this room, whatever it is. But it's like, do you actually want that thing? Are you willing to work for that thing? Or do you just expect it to be handed to you? Do you just want it because it sounds good, it looks good? Why do you really want it? God has to get you to a point. You have to get to a point where it's like you put in the hard work. You know you earned that thing. You're not doing it for anything else other than for yourself. You're not doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for you. So when you're doing it for you, it doesn't matter where anybody else is at in life, what they're doing, where they're at, how long they've been at it, how long they've been on their journey. Whatever it is, it doesn't fucking matter because it's for you. So when you do get that thing that you want, you're up there. You have that accomplishment. And it's not like, I have this, or now I have this, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you have that thing and you earned it, but you don't need it. Like, your whole identity doesn't ride on it. You got to a point that you don't need that attention. This is why people who are not searching for their partners, people who are working on themselves, you will always hear the people, I found love, or I found whatever it is when I wasn't looking for it. It always comes at unlikely times. And when you are pouring your love into yourself, if you're working on something, practicing something, when that thing comes for you, you're going to be ready for it. When people are loving themselves, feeling good about themselves, doing things for themselves, and then that right person's put in front of them, they weren't looking for it. They don't need it, but they're ready for it. You have to get to a point where you don't need it. You want it. It would add to your life, whatever it is, but you don't need it. You're not grasping at it. You're not chasing it because you know what's going to happen. And in the meantime, you're working on yourself. You're humbling yourself. You're growing. You're evolving. You're becoming the best person with the best skill set for that thing. So patience is beautiful. That time you have, that lull in between, is a blessing. It's not a curse. It's not working against you. It's working for you. You need that time. Every single time I have delayed, happiness, delayed gratification, it's always worked in my favor. Because I think about the times where I didn't gain a following as fast as I wanted to. And then I think about, if I had, I don't know what type of videos, I don't know where my content would have gone. I was doing things for the people. I wasn't doing things for me. And I got to figure out my content. I got to figure out what I wanted to do, how I wanted to serve you guys, my purpose in the meantime while I was growing that following. So that when my following did start to grow, it was the right people. It was the right audience. It was you guys. I wasn't doing it for attention. I wasn't doing it to have a certain status. I was doing it to make a career, to build a career. Am I the biggest influencer in the world? No. But do I love my fucking following? Do I love my job? Do I love what I do? Do I love this podcast every week? Yes. Who knows if I would have been here if I was just handed what I wanted right when I wanted it. I would have been making probably weird fucking dance videos. And I was doing that for a little bit of a time. But I can't tell you that I would have found myself in the place where I am at now if I had just been given what I wanted instantaneously. And one of my favorite things that I heard this past week was, just because it didn't happen instantly, just because it is not happening currently, does not mean that it cannot happen suddenly. Any day could be your day. Any day could be the day that everything changes, that everything turns around, that everything comes to fruition. You never know. So you might be waiting, but if you give up waiting, if you give up this, that thing's not going to happen suddenly. That thing's not going to happen for you. And it's never suddenly, by the way, because everything up to that moment has been leading you there. It'll feel suddenly, but then you'll get that thing, wow, you know what? That time in between, I needed that. That space, I needed that. And you'll realize nothing is sudden. We are always building and growing towards something. Things are going to take time. Good things take time. The best things that's ever happened to me did not happen overnight at all. They all took time. And the good relationships and all those things that you want, those take time too. Because you have to put the time into yourself. That person has to put the time into themselves. Then it has to be the right time. And then you guys need to spend genuine time getting to know each other. Slow burn relationship. Usually the quick, instantaneous ones, not to speak for everybody, but those don't always go as well. when sometimes amazing things come into my life or opportunities happen, I get really, one, excited, but two, sometimes it's like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop and I'm just like, okay, but I have to have this thing right now, or this has to come to fruition right now for me. Like I get really anxious. I'm like, this has to happen right now. I try to control the situation. And I experience this in my career, and I also experience this in my dating a lot, where it's like, this is a great person. I have to make this happen. I have to figure out everything. I have to know how exactly they're feeling right now. I have to know how I'm feeling, blah, 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 blah. I'm realizing now things that are made for you are just made for you. Things will unfold how they're supposed to. You have to be patient. Things will reveal themselves. The longer you wait, sometimes the slower things are, the better. There's no rush to success. There's no rush to the finish line, because there really is no finish line. There's no crossing something. There's no getting a certain accomplishment and like, that's it. There's always more. And it always feels better to not be grasping at something and not leading with the like, well, this isn't an end, so I have to take advantage of everything that's happening right now in this moment. Because I think sometimes when you do that, you're not trusting your judgment. You're not leading with your judgment. You're just not clear in your decisions or what you want. And you start to stray away from those things because you just want to cling on to the good thing. But it's like, do I really want this thing? Next time things are taking a long time, maybe just like sit in it and be like, let me enjoy this moment. Let me enjoy this time. And let me also trust and have faith that when it's supposed to happen for me, it will. And what can I learn in this time period as well? Patience is a virtue, and patience is key. And I hope that that makes you feel a little bit better. Next segment, we're going to get into people pleasing. Just this past weekend, I received a text from somebody who I haven't heard from, I don't even know in how long. He was somebody who he was a friend, a loose friend. He was the roommate of a guy that I was hooking up with type of friend, okay? He works in a space where he also works with influencers. So really a lot of our communication, even though we were friendly, I would see him when I was hooking up with the guy. Whenever he texted me, I knew he needed a favor from me. And every time he texted me in the past, I used to do whatever he needed. Because I really liked the guy I was hooking up with, and I just wanted to be available and look cool and be like, yeah, I can do this for you, no problem, blah, 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 blah. And there were times when I was like, do I need to do this? No. Do I want to do some of these things? No. But will I? Yeah. He hit me up this past weekend and he was like, hey, are you in Miami? And instantly I'm like, I took an hour to answer because I'm like, what does he want? But I responded and I was like, yeah, in Miami, whatever. And he was like, okay, great. We're going to Liver 11. We have a table. We need some pretty girls. You come and bring a few friends. You can bring some friends. And in the past, oh my God, I would have jumped on this opportunity. I would have been this is a great opportunity. They're inviting me out. I have to go because they don't invite me out often. And it'll be so much fun. And, I feel accepted that the guy who I was hooking up with, his roommate, ex hooking up with, invites me out. That's how I would have thought in the past. I would have been oh my God, I need to go to look cool and also get closer to this guy I'm hooking up with. And I would have just done it even if I didn't want to do it. It would have made me feel good that they thought of me. But when I saw this text, it pissed me off. I was like, fuck you. I didn't say that. But I was just ew, you've never really invited me out. It happens to be over the summer in Miami when no one's here. Last minute on a Saturday, you're just going to text me when you're comfortable texting me when you have the space, when no one else is available. Now suddenly you want to invite me out. So I responded back and I was like, wow, I was a little sassy. I had to be. Sorry. But I'm not suggesting this, but I'm just proud of myself. But I was just wow, so nice of you to invite me out when nobody else is around. And he was like, that's not true. You're always at the top of my invite list, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I didn't end up answering him to the next day. And I was like, hope you had a fun night. This has to do with, one, valuing my time, and two, honoring myself and respecting myself. There was no part of me that wanted to go out. And like I said, in the past, even if I didn't want to go out, I would have gone. I would have gone to look cool. I would have gone to potentially see the guy I'm hooking up with, or even if he wasn't there, at least be like, oh, I was there, hang out with your friends in proximity type of thing. I didn't want any of that because that wouldn't be true to who I am right now and the things that I want. And I'm so far removed from that situation where I was like almost offended that he felt comfortable reaching out to me. Not because I don't like him, but because it's like, you clearly think that you can just hit me up and like I'll be at your beck and call type of thing. Or like, it's not like you hit me up a week before and been like, oh yeah, I know that we're doing this. Like then that would have been more genuine and sincere. But to like do it the day of, it's like, okay, super last minute, and clearly you don't value my time or who I am. It was like you needed to fill in or something like that. Or you wanted to look cool because you had friends visiting, whatever it was. In these situations, if you're ever saying yes to something that you don't want to do, if you're making time for people who you don't want to hang out with, when you say yes to something that you don't want to do, you say no to yourself. You're also clearly trying to avoid conflict. You're trying to avoid confrontation. You're protecting that person and not yourself. You're putting that person's priorities in front of your own, which time and place for that. But if it's something that is going against what you want, all this stuff, you should always prioritize yourself. You're trying to be accepted. How many times have you said yes to something just because you want to feel included or cool or accepted? And it's not something that you really want to do. That's why a lot of people give into peer pressure. You know, it's like, okay, fine, I'll say yes to this because like maybe they'll finally think this way of me or whatever it was. And when you do that, and when you say yes to those types of things that you don't want to do, you're making a choice not to be yourself. You're not honoring who you are. You're devaluing yourself. You're abandoning your morals. You're not listening to yourself. And you should listen to yourself. When we're younger, and obviously humans are pack animals, we want to fit in. We want to do those things. And there had been so many times when I was younger where I would do things that I didn't want to do for the sake of impressing other people, or for the sake of being really uncomfortable with the idea of saying no, because maybe I didn't know when that opportunity would come again, or maybe I was scared to upset that person, or I didn't want to start conflict, or I didn't want to explain myself, or I didn't want to have to feel guilty. I didn't want to have to deal with the feelings of guilt, of being like, I should have done that because that would have made that person happy, but like I didn't really want to do that. But sometimes it's better to deal with those feelings of guilt and then know that you can then soothe yourself and make yourself feel better, than to deal with the repercussions of saying yes to something that you don't want to do, then also being guilty in the sense of like, I knew I didn't want to do that, but I did that. And now you're beating yourself up about it. And then you feel, bad the next day about yourself. But it is like then to do something for somebody else, to make yourself available for somebody else that you didn't want to, when you weren't ready, when maybe you weren't mentally, there, or you weren't in highest spirits, and now you show up as this version of yourself that you don't even want to be there. And then you're not giving that situation or that person the full you or the full experience. And maybe you're taking away from their experience. And then also maybe you're going to hold it against them or feel a certain way about them now because they forced you, forced quotations, to do something that you didn't want to do. There are times when people are going to come to you and they're going to need you right then and there. And you need to get comfortable with, one, potentially the feeling of guilt, and then find ways to make yourself feel better and know that you can fix the situation and go up from there. And two, get comfortable saying no, but offering, some sort of solution and still showing gratitude to that person. If somebody needs something from you and they're a friend and you're just not fully available right now for whatever reason it is, you are completely allowed to say, hey, like, I can't do that right now. I have time this day, or I could do it this day when I'm better equipped, when I feel better. Maybe you're really tired, a friend needs to talk, or they need your help, but you're just not there. You had a bad day, or you just don't want to. There's times to be there for your friends, but there's also times you have to prioritize you. And you could be like, hey, like, I understand where you're coming. I understand that you need me right now. I understand that you're going through this tough time, but like, I'm also going through something right now. And I would love to dive into this with you tomorrow when I feel better and I can give you my full attention. I can give you my full brain. I can give you my full capacity. I'll really be there. And I think that would be a lot more helpful. I think that'll be a lot better than me giving you maybe 25% of me today, where I'm not really going to be attentive or available or giving you my full attention. And if that person can't understand that, then they have to deal with that. Then they have a problem. They're not a good friend then. Because I think if any of my friends said, hey, like, I can talk about this to you tomorrow, because then I can give you my full attention, I'd be like, oh my God, of course. Like, take care of yourself, feel better. I'll journal, whatever it is. I'll talk to a different friend. I'll just talk to myself. Like, I would never force my friends to do anything that they wouldn't want to do or couldn't do, or put them in an uncomfortable position. I think like that's another thing growing up, is you realize we all have our own shit. We're all adults. I don't expect my friends to be there at like a dime drop. Like, we all have shit going on. I don't really keep friends who make me feel guilty about anything. And I would never make my friends feel guilty about anything, because, you know, I'm always thinking like, how would I want this person to treat me in this situation if this were me? And I don't want to feel bad about X, Y, and Z. So when friends have to, you know, not all the time, but cancel or things come up, it's like, I'm very understanding, and those things should be understood. That's normal. And saying no to situations should also be something that's understood, and that should also be in your vocabulary. Get comfortable saying no. And you don't have to say no from a place of being rude. There's a way to say no in a way it's nice, that's genuine, and that's expressing gratitude. Like, thank you so much for the invite. Like, I always tell my friends, thank you for thinking of me when they invite me somewhere, but I don't want to go. But like, I just don't want to go. And I won't sugarcoat things anymore either, because I think that was really detrimental to my health and caused me more anxiety, especially when people are like, this is what they always say, when people are like, oh, I'll let you know, or it's like, I'm not going to let you know. I already know. I'm not going to get back to you later. If there's something that I want to do and somebody asks me, I'll tell them right then and there, yes, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. It's like, if a guy wants to take you out, if you want to go out with him, you'll be like, yeah. If you have to be like, oh, let me look at my calendar, or like, oh, like, I'll let you know, it's a no. You're just delaying it because you're uncomfortable with saying no. And that's causing you more stress and anxiety. And it's causing that person stress and anxiety. That's not fair to them. Whenever somebody says, I'll let you know, I'm just like, okay, no, we can cut our losses. Get comfortable saying no, and in a place that's nice. And stop, you know, doing the whole like, maybe, and coming up with excuses. Oh, this, that. Just say no. I'll respect you so much more, and I respect myself so much more when I'm just like, no, like, I'm just being honest. And if you can't take my honesty, then we probably shouldn't be friends, because it's not coming from a place where like, I hate you. It's coming from a place where it's like, I'm showing my self-love, and I just don't want to do that. That's just not me being true to myself. Whether it's like you just don't want to do it ever, or just right then, that's fine. And what I will say, piggybacking off of that, is no doesn't have to mean forever. And I think once you explain that, then it becomes a little bit more digestible. Like, no doesn't mean forever. No, it just means not right now, not today. But it doesn't mean not ever. Hey, like, I can't do that today, but I could do that next week. And that's you being honest. Instead of you like pushing it off. Like, I hate when people like even are like, oh yeah, like maybe tomorrow, maybe. It's like, no. If you're saying maybe tomorrow, maybe this, no. I would much rather be like, hey, like, somebody be like, hey, like, I can't do that today, but how about we do that next week? Then I'm like, okay, I know they want to do that thing. They can't do it today for whatever reason. That's fine. They're offering me another day, and I'm going to take them up on that day. That's clear communication. That's clean. And that person is being true to themselves, and you are trusting them, because I don't trust the people who are in between and wishy-washy. That gives bad vibes to me. It gives like, I'm not confident in who I am, and I am scared that if I don't do this thing for other people, they maybe won't like me, or you won't invite me somewhere again. And that's not true. Stop finding ways around saying no and just say what you mean. And I will have so much more respect for you. And when you do that with yourself, you're showing respect to yourself and you're honoring yourself. Another thing that you can think when you are saying no is have a conversation with yourself and be like, why am I saying no? Does this go against my morals? Does it go against my values? And if you're feeling guilty saying no, ask yourself, what rule did I break with myself that I feel bad for saying no? Or did I actually stick to my values and stick to my core and stick to what I want to do? And in that case, why do I feel guilty? Because those are my true feelings. But when you have that conversation of you being like, why am I saying no? Then you're able to like be like, oh, okay. No, that makes sense. I'm proud of myself for saying no, because that doesn't align with my feelings right now, or the things that I want, or that's not going to help me in the future. That's not going to get me to where I want to be, or that's not going to make me feel good, or that's not going to make me feel like a better person. So that's why I'm saying no. And because I know that, I feel good about it. I feel good about that answer. I'm confident in that no. That is a confident no. That being said, there's a time and place. When it's people that you love, sometimes there's just things that you have to do. You have to compromise. You have to say yes sometimes when you don't want to, but it's not in a way that it's like hurting you. It's just like, oh, we make sacrifices for the people that we love. There's times to be like, you know what? Yeah, I will do that for you. Even though it's not exactly something that I'm really excited about doing, but I'm going to show up for you and I'm going to do that for you. And that's the difference between people pleasing and doing stuff out of love. And it's not like when you do it that way, you're not going to hold it against that person. Just lead with love, I think, always, and lead with love with yourself. Pay attention to the things that you want, and maybe write out like things that align with your values or the things that you want. Because I think when you're clear in your intentions and on the track that you want to stick to, you can look back at that list and be like, well, this doesn't really align with X, Y, and Z, so I'm not going to do this thing. So there's no reason for me to feel guilty about that. The right people will understand that, and they'll never make you feel bad for being yourself and sticking true to yourself. I'd be like, fuck yeah, you're a bad bitch. You know exactly what you want. I respect you. I respect you saying no, and I expect you not leading me on with these wishy-washy maybes, this, that. Then I'm like, then you don't respect me. Because when you do that, you're not respecting somebody else's time. And you're thinking like, oh, I can just then cancel on them last minute or this or that, or not even give them an opportunity to maybe invite somebody else or do it with somebody else or come up with another plan. When I say no to somebody, I respect their time and them as a person. And I would never put myself in a position where I was really unhappy doing something and then make my friends feel bad or ruin their experience either. Okay, I think that just about wraps up today's episode. I hope that was helpful for you guys. Just remember, everything's happening at the right time for you. Practice patience. Practice putting yourself first and really take care of your own needs. And when you take care of yourself, you are also doing the people around you a favor, and you're going to be able to show up better for them too. Self-love can heal the world. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Self-love will heal everything. Everything just needs a little bit of self-love. Make sure you're following me here on YouTube at Nicole Doyon, on TikTok, Nicole_Doyon, Snapchat, Nicole Doyon. I love spamming Snapchat. And Instagram, of course, Nicole Doyon. I love you guys so fucking much. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.